So good morning, everyone. Good morning, Joey and Lovelyn. It's so good to
Morning.
see you this morning. Welcome to the Women's Coffee Club. We created this club to for women to be able to share with each other and support so that we can grow together. So happy for both of you to be here. This morning, I we don't really have a specific topic other than I chose the topic related to your life goals. So it's like what's missing in your life, what will make you fulfill and more alive, and what if you are not there yet, what are the obstacle that keeping you away from the goals, reaching your goals and achieve your dream life. So that's it's a kind of an open discussion. Last week, I've been watching Tony Robbins. I know Joey, you're part of Tony Robbins group, and the last one, Lovelyn, when I did the little video of Tony Robbins, he talks about this circle where the first one was like your passion. Make sure you have to have the passion and clarity of what it is that you want, and then you have to take the effort, you have to implement and improve, like you keep doing it. And then but the most important part is he talk about certainty, which is belief. Sometimes when we don't believe we could do it, we quit. So it's really important. And this reminds me, when I was in the third grade in Indonesia. I was born in Jakarta, Indonesia. I remember I my parents were Chinese. Okay, Suzanne is. Let me admit Suzanne here first. My my parents are Chinese, so they sent me to the Chinese school when I was young. And then when I was in the third grade, there was some political unrest between the Indonesian. Hi, Suzanne. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Morning. I was just telling my childhood story here. I said I was born in Jakarta, Indonesia, and my parents are Chinese, so they sent me to a Chinese school. And when I was in the third grade, there was political unrest between the Indonesian government and the Chinese government and the communists, all that. So they closed down the Chinese school, and I had to transfer to an Indonesian school. But my parents wanted to make sure that I didn't forget the Chinese language. Oops. Okay. So they hired a tutor to teach me how to read and write Chinese, right? And I said, I told my dad, I said, I want to learn English because I said when I grow up, when I graduate from high school, I want to go to the United States. That's where I want to go to school. I want to go to America. And so I want to learn English. So I would pretend I would take a nap. I didn't really want to do the Chinese tutoring thing. So finally he did. He canceled the Chinese tutoring and sent me to private tutoring for to learn English. And I think from there, I make sure that I do my part. I had no idea how my dad could get the money for me to come to the United States. We're not wealthy or anything. We were middle class, but anyway, but I did my part, and I, I got good grades, and I hang out with the kids who were smart. I had no idea how I could come again to the United States. But then when I was in high school, one of my friends, because I hang out with this smart kids, so to speak, high achiever kids, and she was going to go to America. She was going to go to Sacramento. She has friends there. So I said, "Hey, can I come along?" So that's how I ended up being in the United States. Ruthie came with Ruthie. But I think going back to this concept about um, how much you want it, like you have to have clarity. You're talking about what's missing in your life or what is it that you want for your life. You have to have clarity, first of all, to know what it is that you want, even when you don't know how to get there. I had no idea I could get there. Um, But as a child, you don't really have the concept how much it would cost or anything. But I did my part. I just continued to push for that. And that's what I had in my mind. I imagined myself going to the USA. I imagine it and I believe it. Of course, when you're a child, it's a lot easier to do that. But, I grew up and I continue with that concept until I finally realized that dream. So I think that because I was like comparing like in my life, like which dream did I achieve or which goals did I achieve and which one I didn't and why. And I think that's one of the really important component. The same thing when I was in the United States. I came here to go to college and then, I had my bachelor's degree. And even when I was picking the major, I was very careful to know what career I wanted. I ended up choosing, I wasn't so sure about it, but I had two major accounting and info system, which is info system. Computer was starting at that time, like everything, automation and everything. And then I started as a budget analyst at San Diego State. I got the job immediately after my graduation, budget analyst, and then I ended up becoming an IT director. So that's I spent, I would say, most of my career as IT director at San Diego. But because I was clear and I know what I wanted, I didn't really know totally the path and even the IT director thing. I didn't know. I wasn't going there for that. But it's like door, if when you want something, it's so clear in your head and you want it, doors start opening up, things start happening, you start getting the connection, you started getting the opportunity, and IT director was not a thing at the time. But you know, and and then I retired a couple of years ago. See, after I retired, then I didn't know what I wanted to do. I know I wanted to help women. I know I wanted to help people to make a difference, but I didn't have any clarity of what I wanted. I end up dabbling. I did the website, I did the blogging, I did the book that take me to Noble Goldman and where I am today. But I didn't have total clarity, so it's harder to achieve what you want when you don't really know what you want. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my story. So I think that um, in order to achieve what you want, I think it's really important to have clarity. Number one, it's not always easy to have clarity, but even just to have remotely the big picture doesn't have to have the details of totally how you're going to get from point A to point B, but at least if you know the end result, the clarity of what it is that you want at the end result, and then to have the intensity. Tony Robbins call it hungry. You have to be hungry, like you really, really want it. The intensity. And then of course, you have to take the effort. You have to put in the work. And another thing that's super, super important is believe. You have to believe. You have to have the faith. You have to have the faith that you can do this. You like again, you don't know how to do it, or you don't have all the pieces together. But not Tony Robbins. Napoleon Hill said, whatever you can conceive and believe, you can achieve. So whatever you can conceive, meaning to have the clarity, to think it, to imagine it. That's how you conceive in your head. And then believe, to have the faith that you can do it, and then that you can get it. Of course, persistent, and you're gonna have fear and all of this stuff going on. But if you just keep going, and if you notice everyone that had achieved their goal, and they follow the same process, So I think at this time I'd like to just open it up and just have each one of you share what's missing in your life and what would be make it more fulfilled and alive for you, and what are the obstacles and how do you overcome that. So Joey, start.
Okay. Honestly, because as you know, and I don't know if you've heard my story, but we practice law of attraction for over 10 years now, and because of that, now have, clarity on what we really wanted. And to be honest, and modesty aside, if the world would end now, I could say that we lived a full life, and we're ready not because we're really ready, but if it was to end now, this is the life that I really wanted. But of course, it didn't, we didn't achieve that. In I had no clarity as to what you were saying when you were like still young. I only found my purpose when I think when I was hitting my 40s. And that's why it's true when they say life begins at 40. Because I'm 49. I'm 49 now. It will be my golden birthday next year. And so much has been achieved in the 9 years than in, of course, in my the last 30 years or 30 plus years of my life. However, everything that I have decided when I learned about law of attraction was probably because of my past. I didn't grow in a normal family. I didn't have a dad. I'm an only child. Didn't have a daddy. So it's my mom's a single mom, and I grew up with my grandmother, and she had to work, of course. So it wasn't a normal childhood, but I had a happy childhood. And also because of that, when it was time for me to find a husband, I told myself, I vowed that it won't happen to my family. And my mom was a workaholic mom. She, of course, wasn't as present as I would have wanted her to be because, of course, working mom, single mom, right? And I understood. She gave me everything because I'm an only child. So she gave me every sacrifice, everything, workaholic, all for me. Gave me everything that I needed. But of course, she sacrificed time for me, right? You know what I mean? So I didn't have her growing up. And I told myself, when I have a family, I would not prioritize as much the work, the money, or whatever. I would prioritize time with family. And I did that. And we did that. And, we homeschooled our children. And now they're teenagers. Before we heard of so much negativity about our decisions. But then when I started with Law of Attraction, and that was like 10 years ago, and when we came back here in the Philippines, the number one rule was to let go of others' opinions of you. Just let go and don't mind them. There was, of course, a point when I had to say, that's enough. I'm not gonna listen to you anymore. So that's what I did. That's what we did. And from then on, our life was just normal. I mean, it wasn't easy, but it was okay because my husband and I, we were together. We were united in our efforts to build a perfect family. Perfect. When I say perfect, it means according to our own standards, based on our own standards and not of society's standards. And we don't care if the kids don't go to private schools, because education here in the Philippines is very high. We take high regard of you if your kids went to private school, something like that. But as you can see, my kids grew up normally, and they're actually better. I mean, now that they're teenagers, I could compare them now. And now, more people are following us because we have unschooled, actually not homeschooled. Homeschooling is some homeschoolers, they have providers. We didn't have any provider. We just taught them ourselves. So now they're asking me how we did it. And now it's like we were the experts in the field of unschooling because JJ is in college and the two others are going to college. They might go back to Canada soon. So what I'm saying is that even if I didn't have any clarity before, I didn't know what to do, I didn't know my purpose in life, but because of my past, I based everything on my past that these were the things that I didn't like. And when I have my own family, these are the things that I would do. And my husband and I, thank God that I have a good husband that jived with my values as well. So for us, we didn't care about having a nice grand house, nice car, or anything, just very simple lifestyle. But we have a lot of investments in place, even if we don't have a lot of cash, like liquid cash right now, it's fine because for us, we were able to build a perfect family and practicing law of attraction at a very young age, manifesting the things that they want to have. I mean, I know that when it's time for us to let them go, live in Canada on their own, we know that they would make it because we've already established their value system, and we know and we're confident that when problems strike, they would be able to handle them because that's how we um we practice, right? That's what we taught them. It's not more on academics, but more on life skills. So they have, we're very confident, and yeah, that's and of course all these things. I know that we had that session. I don't know if Suzanne was there, but we had that session where we taught you all these techniques, NLP techniques, LOA techniques that would help us with everyday challenges in life, right? I mean, it's not a perfect life, but we all go through all these, the problems, just like what happened with my husband in 2019 when he almost died, my mom in 2020 when she almost died, and that just recently, right? So, but we're able to, we don't see it so much as a problem. We see it as a blessing in disguise all the time because the most important thing is how you're able to manage your emotions, right? So I think that's the most important thing in life when we're able to teach our children how to handle emotions like that, like when they get rejected, when they have problems and there's loss in the family, some kind of rejection in whatever activities that they have, right? So if they're able to handle that, then we're good. We know, we're confident that they'd be able to go through life.
That's so amazing, Joey. I see your life. When I did the Think and Grow Rich Mastermind every week, I get to know your family, your five kids. They're so amazing. They're so independent. But see, you said you didn't have clarity, and I didn't exactly have that clarity, like clarity super, super clear. But if you already know kind of when I said clarity in your head what you wanted, like you have the big picture about this family, like your family is the most important. And that's where you went, like this whole homeschooling thing, and that the fact that you don't care what people say, like you're not comparing yourself with other people or what other people's standard. You already have you have clarity about the big picture, not the detail about how you're going to implement it. And you end up homeschooling your kids, which is amazing. They're like, to me, more mature and independent than any other kids I've seen that are just going to regular school because they do a lot of things on their own. You involve them with your business. They're a part of your, really, you integrate them in like growing up, like doing the things that grown up do. You're just amazing, your whole family. Like that homeschooling, people are asking you how to do that. You could create a course on that. That, you know, seriously, that would be part of your business. But anyway, that's amazing. Congrats, Joey, for that. Lovelyn, you're next.
Well, I
Good
don't know.
morning, Faith. Just to let you know what we're doing here, we're just taking turn sharing about our lives, about how the journey that we took, from to achieve our dream life. It's like what's missing in your life, what would be get you to be more fulfilled and more alive, and then what are the obstacle and how do you overcome? Like how do you get to point A to point B? And I shared mine, and then Joey shared, and then now Lovelyn. Next would be Suzanne, and then after that it'll be your turn, Faith. So if you want to just listen for now, but good morning and welcome. Go ahead, Lovelyn.
Well, originally I'm from Uganda, from Africa, and that's where I was born and studied and spent part of my life there and did my primary school and then O level from there. And since childhood, I've always wanted to live outside of my home country. And I used to envy people who lived outside countries. And I used to hear someone lives in America, someone lives in France or in Australia. And I was like, how do they go there? And I think I was about 8 years old, and I used to ask myself, how do they live in these countries? So I grew up with that in me. And when I finished my O-level, I got a chance. My dad sent me to UK to go and do my A-level from there. And then I traveled to the United Kingdom, settled in London, did my A-level from there, and then proceeded and completed my first degree from University of London. And when I finished my first degree, I got a job with UK government. And that's why I find it much easier to play with them and stay with them. So I've worked with them for so many years. So I stayed in London for some time, got married, had my kids there. And then my husband now moved to the United States. I stayed in UK because of the kids for some time. When they grew up and joined secondary school, I now joined my husband in Houston. That's where we live. But I still felt, even when I went to university, I still felt that there was this void in me. I was not fulfilled. And what I wanted to do, I couldn't really reach it. I wanted to be like a leader, to lead on something and maybe be known. I just wanted to, I don't even know how I felt, but there's this void that stayed within. Even when I thought that when I obtain a degree, I will now be fulfilled and everything. But then it did not change me in any form. And I still felt that void in me. And I said to myself, and if I study and become a professor, I will still be unfulfilled. So I started looking for something that I would do that will fulfill me. And it took me so long to actually put my finger on that. And then after some years, after I joined my husband, I said to myself, I think I'm going to help women, because I've looked at my journey and how I grew up, very scared, very naive, very soft-spoken, full of fear, and how I've evolved over the years. I said to myself, I could help some women to become just like the way I've become. There are so many women who are there in Africa or around the world who are so scared, who think that where they are right now, that is where they are supposed to be, and they don't have a clue that there's more out there. They can become more than what they are. And I said to myself, I want to become a voice for those women, but how do I do it? So it took me so long to actually know, until I started personal development. So I now started mingling with Think and Grow Rich and masterminding with different people, Tony Robbins and all these people, Dean Graziosi. And, I now started pointing myself in the direction of where I'm supposed to be. Until recently, when I said to myself, I'm tired of, look, now I'm working on a project with the UK government. So I travel from the US every quarter, every 4 months, I'm expected to come to the UK and work on my project and attend meetings on face-to-face with other colleagues. And I said to myself, I'm getting tired with the flying and all these COVID things, tests and this and that. And it's beginning to wear me down. I said to myself, I'm just tired of all these things. And I said, I need to settle down and stay in one place. But when I stay in one place, what do I do? Until recently, when I said to myself, I think I need to become a coach. Okay, when I become a coach, what is my niche? And I started thinking, what niche am I going to concentrate on? It took me so long, and the whole of last month I was thinking. I've attended a course twice on coaching and how to identify your niche, twice. And that was last month when I got my breakthrough, and I said to myself, I'm not going to become a mindset coach, because that is too plain for people to understand. Okay, what do? I can't become a health and well-being coach, because people will know that my field is not medicine. They will not take me seriously. So what should I do? And I feel I've been called to help. I've been called to serve, until when I got my breakthrough last month, and I said to myself, I'm going to be a transformation life coach. Because of the work I've been doing with all these Tony Robbins and all the rest, it is in line with that. And that's what I feel. But I have procrastination is my issue at the moment. I want to do it, but each time I sit down and say, okay, tomorrow I think I've started this, and then tomorrow we come, no, next week I'll do it. And then next week will pass, and before I know, the month has passed. So I have that problem, and I just hope that I overcome it and achieve my dream.
I love that. I love that, Loveland. I absolutely love what you shared because I have the same exact problem. Even when I was in the middle of this successful career as IT manager or IT director, I had that void, like you were talking about, something was missing. I felt like I was meant to be more. I was meant to serve. I was meant to help others, but I couldn't do anything. I was a single mom raising my three daughters, and I couldn't quit. There was the health insurance. There were all this complication. Plus, I still wasn't sure what I was going to do anyway. And then that's why after I retired, I started going through that journey because I wasn't sure. I didn't have clarity like you. That's why I ended up going down the path of blogging, creating the website, and I got the coaching certification. I'm a certified coach, and then I also wrote the book for women. You deserve it, and then I end up doing the Think and Grow Rich mastermind, joining Noble Goldman, and now creating this platform for women, exactly like the journey, Loveland, you're talking about, like you don't have clarity. So you go from one thing to the next to the next. And I feel like I found it here. I feel like I'm serving, to the best that I could. That this is the starting of this platform is to help women to have a voice to be able to share with each other here. So I love that, Loveland. You will be so successful. You're amazing. So congrats for that. Thank you for sharing. Suzanne, you're next.
Hi, everyone. Um, my story is a little different, and I think I got my mission very early in life of um helping those who are perceived as disabled or different find their voice. And I think that that's become a paramount in my entire program. It's been building piece by piece, but growing up in a family where my brothers were excellent at everything, tried something, they excelled, tried this, they excelled. I would go into school thinking that I had finally found something that might be better than they did. And then my younger brother came up and nope, he took over. So it became very clear to me that while I had the clarity of what I wanted, I didn't have others' belief in me that I could excel it. And that became the overriding story. Every time someone thought, oh, she can't do it, she can't do it, she's different, she can't do it, I kept on proving them wrong. Like one of the biggest successes I had was when they said, oh, you can't learn to play clarinet, it's too hard, you can't do it, but if it's in your heart. I learned how to play clarinet and became a first clarinet player in half the time that most students learn to play clarinet and get into first clarinet. Because where the heart wants to go, it will go. And for when I was in school and not making money, it was fun and easy to prove people wrong. It was really exciting to say, oh yeah, you think I can't do it? Watch me. And I would make all these successes. It did get a lot harder when it became earning money, because now people were starting to really judge me on my differences. I did not yet know that I was autistic. I just knew I was different, and I couldn't understand why I was different. Did not know, didn't find out until I was 51, 3 years ago. But my situation is what I'm missing right now in my life is the society's belief that I can make a difference in their organization. That's what I'm missing. That's why I came up with this Bridge Builders program, because it's like, I just know that if there are neurotypical women and men out there who will say, give this person a chance, you're shooting them down before you even give them a chance to speak. And one of my biggest missions is to eradicate disabled and put in there empowering advocacy, not disabled advocacy. We're not disabled. We all have our unique gifts. Don't call us disabled. We may not be just like you and just like her and the executive and this and that, but that doesn't mean we're disabled. We are disadvantaged at the moment. Up until now, we're disadvantaged because you don't yet believe in us. But I mean, people said, you can't get up on stage and talk, you're autistic. I'm like, oh yeah, watch me. And I had accomplished that. You can't write a book. Yes, I can. And I did that. So it's getting people to know me and know that I have so much perseverance. My obstacle is that when you shoot me down before you even give me a chance, that's where I receive the greatest pain, is because it's not like you're deciding after the fact that I can't do it. You're not even watching me work. You're deciding you're disabled. I don't want to be bothered. I'm not hiring you. And that's where my obstacle is. My clarity is there. So my clarity is to take women from depression, the way society looks at them, and bring them all the way up to the top of the mountain. I call it Enrichment Mountain, where they get to see that they have gifts, they have specialties, and they are deserving of the same life. And if I can eradicate disabled at the same time, that would be fantastic. Because I don't believe that women or men are disabled. I think we are all different. And why tell someone that they're disabled and they can't do a job until you see that they can't do it? That's my story.
That's amazing, Suzanne. I mean, I see you. I see you how you just rise up, and it's just amazing to listen to you. Last night I watched Survivors. I don't know, you guys watch Survivors? This woman, she was an athlete at school when she was growing up, and then at age 19, she was in a moped accident, and she lost her leg, one leg, just the bottom from the knee down. They had to cut it off. But she joined Survivors. If you know what Survivors is, you go through all kinds of rigorous activities to compete and to win the $1 million. But she, like, people probably would have thought, oh, you don't have the leg, you can't do this, because you have to swim, you have to climb, you have to do all kinds of stuff. And she said, you know what, I'm going to prove you wrong. And she did. And that's what she did yesterday. And she's like, she didn't want to be treated differently. She didn't, despite despite her losing one leg, she just move forward accordingly, just like you, Suzanne. I see you. And I think that sometimes we use our disability, maybe that's not the right word, or the disadvantage, to help others, to bring the voice. Lovelyn, you're talking about, you're coming from Uganda, and you're seeing how the struggle, especially for women in the third world country. Joey, you saw that too in the Philippines. And then we rise up and we said, you know what? We want to help others to be able to don't limit yourself based on what people think it's a limitation, that you somehow believe, your belief system growing up, that was how it's supposed to be. It's not. Joey, look at you and your whole family and the homeschooling. Suzanne, with your autistic, doesn't deter you from moving forward. Lovelyn, despite you came from Uganda and seeing all this poverty over there, and you rise up and look where you are. I'm just so proud. Each of us here, we're very diverse, and yet we move forward, and this is how we do it. I just love this. Thank you so much, Suzanne, for sharing. And Faith, you're next.
Well, I'm a work in progress, and I'm not living my dream life. Don't even see the entry to the race yet. But I'm a survivor. I have a survivor story. I went through a series of unfortunate events, and on top of it, I made every possible catastrophic wrong decision when I was under fire and in the fire. And ultimately, I lost everything financially and nearly lost my life. And I'm a single mom. And it was being a single mom that gave me the fire and the determination not to lose my life. But that first hurdle, and I'm very thankful that I did that first hurdle, that first hurdle did not bring a renewal of optimism. I had grown up very secure and had never been completely broke. And I did a lot of volunteering and helping, but I absolutely was unprepared and had no clue how hard it was to live without any resources whatsoever. And I had absolutely no support because, you know, that old song, everybody loves you when you're a winner, but nobody knows you when you're down and out, turned out to be very true in my circumstance. And I'm probably to blame in that circumstance because I felt so ashamed. And even though I never thought money was my God, and I never particularly cared about it that much. I mean, I took it for granted, but because I want to have a house and food and water and my children be safe and well and be able to do what they want. But I wasn't obsessed about money. I thought this hustle culture, everything's money. Go out and get money. It's all about money. Be the first millionaire in your family. Be the first billionaire in your family. I wanted quality of life and love and connection and friends and fun dinners and work in my garden. So money was not my God, but money started to become my God when I absolutely had no money. And I didn't want to ask for money because I was so ashamed. And I was so ashamed of myself and so angry at myself for making every wrong damn decision in the world that I had a lot of mornings when I was getting up that if I could have turned the lights out, you know, I was a single mom, so it wasn't an option, but wow, those were some really, it's, it's been rough time all the way. And I couldn't, you know, I tried any kind of job I could do because I always thought there's no shame in any kind of work. And even though I'm educated, and what the bottom line is, if you live in a small town and you lose everything and you're broke, people want to think that you played a part in doing that, even more than your fear-based thinking. And no matter what kind of job I took, I either did not get paid fairly or I didn't get paid in full. And I never did that to anybody. So when I'd hear the things like, oh, you get what you give out, I would get mad. I wouldn't want to be part of that teaching anymore because I'm like, I never did that to anybody. You don't know what you're talking about. But then I started thinking, you get what you give out. I was so ashamed and so angry at myself. I hated every fiber of my being because I didn't just drag myself down, but I hurt the future of my children by making every stupid wrong mistake. And we're not talking drug mistake. We're not talking alcohol mistake. We're talking my parents were very ill and I made up, you know, nobody else wanted to help them because they were quite ruthless. And I decided the good thing to do was to help them, that it was the right thing to do. We were raised very biblical. And they lasted a long time. So it was financially catastrophic for me. And it was physically catastrophic for me. So we get past all that, I survived that. Lost my home, lost all my things, lost my pets, lost everything except my life and my children's life, which is the most important part. but it's really hard to be that broke. So I thought, well, maybe the reason people aren't paying me is because I hate myself so much and I just don't feel like I deserve anything. I felt like I deserve to be burned to the stake like a witch. I just felt like I didn't deserve anything. And I was having a hard time getting past that. So I thought, well, that self hate I have for myself is probably what's keeping people from either employing me or paying me my value. And I went through, I was not only alone, but I went through a lot of people who were ruthless and mean and unkind. And I thought, well, that's what I think about people. I think people are ruthless and unkind and terrible. So I started to view that you manifest what you're thinking seems to be happening with the negative way I'm thinking. I better learn to think positive. Now, it's no small thing. If I ever become a coach, or I think when I'm in a good position, that I would like to help women who reach the middle of their life and their husbands flew the coop and their families died or whatever, and they're in a terrible crossroads, find a way out because it's very hard without support and it's very hard without any confidence. But I had a hard time having hope and faith or even looking, like I said, I couldn't see an end goal. I just saw a lot of stress. And stress
Yes.
makes you sick, which I already learned the hard way. So I'm like, you're going to have to change your thinking to survive. And my children were thinking negative. So I'm like, you're going to have to change your thinking because you don't want to teach thinking negative. And so I was like, okay, go to the basics, like you're a newborn baby and you're starting over. And just be grateful to be alive. Go on a walk and be grateful for the trees and the butterfly. Be grateful that you're in a house, even it's a little teeny tiny house. Be grateful you have food to eat. We didn't even have a car for a long time. We had to walk or ride our bikes or get rides. And America is no joke place to be broke. There's a lot of opportunity, or there was before they decided the economy had to be shut down for 2 years. But anyway, I
Thank you,
decided to
Faith.
find, oh, it's too much.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
go ahead and say your last thing, and then I'd like to, yeah, go ahead. Finish
Uh,
finish your thoughts.
so I decided I had to get back to basics, which was appreciating what is good and learning who I was again and what I really want to do, and finding ways to do a lot of self care and feed myself so I could find my way back to a positive place. And that's currently what I'm doing.
Thank you. Thank you for your share, Faith, and to be so vulnerable, sharing all your struggles. I see that you have a hard life, and that thank you for sharing with all of us here. So I like the last part that you said. The first, most of your thoughts have been, like you said before, negative with limiting beliefs, and it's not because you wanted to do that, but you are actually struggling. You are actually going through. So you were just voicing what you're experiencing. But look at your name. Your name is Faith. Um, look at the possibility, all the you're talking about going back to basic, and all the things that are good in you, and all the appreciation of your, even when you have a tiny house and your children and all that. I'd like to open this up for anyone who wants to contribute for Faith to move forward in her life. Who wants to start?
Can I just say something?
Okay.
All right. I think every one of us has experienced the same thing. I mean, we have that. But like I said, in law of attraction, the definition in itself, how we understood it and live it is, it starts with a thought, And this thought can be either negative or positive, which then evokes a certain emotion or feeling, which based on the thought, which is either negative or positive, can also be either negative or positive. And that feeling emits a certain vibration. And that vibration is what attracts another like vibration. So that's how we do it. So every time that we have problems or challenges, when you know all these negative emotions that we feel when we're mad, we're sad, we're bored or depressed, you know, I love what Faith has been doing. She's aware, very aware of how she is and how her life is. So that's the start. When you're aware of your emotions, all you need to do is just then go from there. You're aware that you're angry. You know that if you remain in that state, you'd be attracting more of the same vibration, and you know that vibration would attract more, and that would bring more of what you feel into your life. So what you need to do is just then to be aware of your emotion, okay, then acknowledge it, and then just go through it. But then don't let just give it a deadline, like 5 minutes I'll be feeling sad or bad, I'll cry for 5 minutes or an hour or so. But then don't let the sun go down with you feeling the same kind, or you're staying in that state. You know how to change it, and you change it quickly. And there are things that we do as a family, like 7-second smile, 7-second laugh, jump up and down. You break the pattern. So these are the things, the little things that we ought to be like doing. And it's a lifetime process. No one can master it. But then you get to a point when you're always feeling gratitude, grateful. And then you get to that point one day, and then you feel like even if it's a problem, you don't even see it as a problem anymore, because you're so used to thinking it's a blessing in disguise, and this is just a phase and all that stuff. So we'll come to that point later on in life when you get used to practicing the law of attraction and how it works in our life. Thanks.
That is so amazing, Joey. It's so true what Joey is saying. Faith, you're saying that when you apply for a job, you already had it in your head that they're not gonna like me. You have this attitude that you already thought that you're not gonna get the job. I'm not gonna be able to keep it. They're not gonna pay me. You have all these negative thoughts going in. People can read that. When you come in with that energy, people know it. Like what Joey is saying, elevate your energy through this. First, like, it's a good thing that you're aware of your situation, to acknowledge it, and then say, okay, I'm not going to be there. I'm changing this. It doesn't mean that you're not going to struggle. You're not going to, that things is going to change immediately. It's not. It's a process. It's a lifetime process. You will continue to struggle, but when your mindset changes, and you emanate positive energy, it's a lot easier for you to find a job, or for somebody to want to keep you or be around you. And the more you feel a negative emotion, it will spread, and it will just continue perpetuate that any negative thoughts. So, but thank you, Joey, for your amazing advice. Suzanne, go ahead.
Yeah, what I was going to say is perception is king. It is key. And if you heard my story of every time someone thought I couldn't do something, it was almost more power to prove them positive. Like, oh yeah, watch me. And that doesn't mean it's going to happen all the time. And you need to allow yourself, if you fall off the train or whatever, say to yourself, first breathe and say, okay, that's their perception of me. That's not my perception of me. And I'm going to go forward, and I'm going to prove them that I can do everything they think I can't do. And that's what's gotten me going. That's what keeps me going, because a lot of autistic people are like, oh no, that's just janitor work. She's just great for. I'm like, no. We're that may be what you perceive of me, that I'm only going to be good for that, but watch me. And I worked myself up. A lot of people know this. I work at Starbucks and at the drive-through window, and people are like, you're not supposed to be able to hold conversations. I'm like, oh yeah, watch me. So Go out and prove them wrong. Go out with your positive attitude and prove them wrong. Prove that you can do what they think you can't do, and you will be there.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Love that, Suzanne, that attitude. And that's how we go through it, Faith. All of us have our struggles as much as we're sharing our victory here, but it's not. It's really we all have our challenges, including Lovelyn from Uganda and seeing all the struggle, the poverty, and all of that. I did too, and Joey did, and Suzanne, all of us here. But thank you so much, Faith, for sharing. We're at the top of the hour, so we need to close. But just keep your faith. I love your name. Keep your faith, and you can do this. You can do this. Just keep coming here, and we'll support you. You know, but don't put yourself down. You're much better than that. You can do this. You can do this. It may take your time. It may be slow. You know, the first thing is to get your mental your mindset. You know, to be positive, to be okay even when things aren't okay, you know, to continue and persist, and just keep on being and with your faith, you know. With that name, just think of your name. You'll be great. You'll be great, Faith. We'll hear for you. Thank you so much for sharing. So and all of you, wow, what an amazing shares today. I'm excited. I'm excited for all of you, but especially for you, Faith. You'll come back here again in several months, and we wouldn't recognize you. So just keep going. You'll be able to get there. So thank you, ladies. Any other last thoughts before I close?
Let's have a photo op. All smiles.
Oh,
That's a
okay.
nice, this is a nice session again. All right, 1, 2, smile.
There you
Faith,
go.
open her cam. Do you have cam, Faith?
I did this on
Smile.
my phone and my screen is cracked.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. Okay, and Lovelyn will be hosting this call next week. So looking forward to it. Thank you again, everyone, and have a great week, a weekend, I guess. And we'll see you next week.
Sounds
All
So
right.
until then,
Thanks,
All of you,
everyone.
bye-bye.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.